Wake up, Jacob. This is Israel Prepper. I just wanted to go over a couple things with you guys. There's been a lot of talk about biblical marriage and about polygyny and just things of that sort. And I just want to talk a little bit about the process, right? Just the process of the biblical marriage. Now, there's no official process. If we look in the Bible and we'll see the length of the process. It can be anywhere from it can be a day, like when Rebecca was brought to Isaac. Boom, there was a day. Met each other first day. They met. They got married, right? And it can be 7 to 14 years if we look at the forefathers. Jacob when it comes to Leah and Rachel. So the length of the process is really up to you. Okay, the length of the process is really up to you. But let's talk a little bit about the process. Okay, and let's talk about biblical marriage. Now, listen, biblical marriage is real simple, and I said before in other videos, it really comes down to witness, agreement, consummation. That's biblical marriage. Witness, agreement, consummation. Now, obviously, in the Bible, you have monogamy and polygyny and celibacy, being by yourself. Okay, as far as how you can exist in this world. Paul was big on being celibate, while other men in the Bible were married. So those are the forms that are sanctioned in the Bible, right? But there's a little bit of a process. Now, technically, women were born in their father's house, and they stayed in their father's house until the father married them off to a husband, right? So that's something that we have to realize and we have to remember. Now, we live in a little bit of a different society, but thank Yah that we have some people out there, we have some communities that are actually trying to go back to the old path, go back to the old way, where the daughter is staying in the home with the father, and they are remaining virgins, and they're waiting to get married, waiting to be given unto a husband. The old path. I don't see anything wrong with the old path. You have a lot of people who are going to take exceptions to the old path. I don't. I'm not that way. But we have some women out there who've been married before, or they don't live in a community. They, they may be single mothers and stuff like that. So it's kind of a different situation and stuff like that. So there are some exceptions out there. I just wanted to point some of those out so you know that I'm aware of these exceptions. But here's the thing. There's a few things and a few steps that we should have in the process, okay? There's a few things, all right, in the process before you get to marriage. See, marriage is the last step. So I'm just going to put a couple of steps in there. Now, let me just say before I get into that, you can have your process can be any way you want it to be, right? You can have it however you want to be. This is just a suggestion. I'm not saying this is a hard and fast biblical rule, but I'm presenting it to kind of help some of the people out there, and it can help both men and women, okay? That way we can make better choices when we get married or when we take someone in. Shalom, shalom. Brethren, Bolastic, I'm sorry I can't see that. It disappears real fast, but shalom, shalom. Thanks for joining me. But let's talk a little bit about the process, right? Now, there are a couple of steps in the process. Let me look at it here. It is in the biblical recording process, stuff like that. Hebrew Life, shalom, shalom. Thank you. I appreciate that. I want to bring something else that may help, okay? Talking about the process. So this is if you're a woman, you're looking to be married, looking to, hopefully, a husband come finds you or whatever. Or if you're a guy and you're looking for a wife, right? So this is a little bit of a process, right? And it's not all original. I've seen it, and I just kind of just put it all together here. 4 steps: proving, courting, betrothal, and marriage. Okay, I'm gonna say that again: proving, courting, betrothal, and marriage. Okay, so you got those 4 steps. Now let's talk a little bit about each step. In the proving stage, it's the very beginning. It's really, you can call it almost the discovery stage. The proving stage is like the discovery stage. get the background on each person. Okay, let me check this woman out. Let me get her background, childhood, all that other stuff. Just to kind of get to know. Okay, just to get to know somebody, right? Same thing for the ladies. They want to get to know this guy, who could potentially be a husband, right? So, in that stage, there could be, a couple of phone calls, maybe some emails, text messages, to prove, just to see if there's any compatibility whatsoever, okay? Or maybe something right off the bat that, you may not like, So it could be something as simple as, I don't want someone who smokes, okay? I'm just making something up. But you can get that in the proving stage. Simple things, no harm, no foul. If it doesn't work out in the proving stage, it's no big deal. You move on, right? Both parties move on. It's no big deal. But it's kind of the discovery stage. That's the proving stage, right? Then you can move to the courting stage. And that's when what the world may say, is a little bit of dating. Does it have to be a whole bunch of dates? Not really. It just depends. And the length of that stage, the length of each stage is up to you. Okay? You can do all stages in a week if you want to. I don't recommend it, but you can. Okay? You can. You can do everything in a week. You can skip some stages if you want to. It's up to you. So you got the proving stage. Now you're into the courting stage. And that's what the world would call dating, right? And so in that stage, you may see there's some chemistry. People can put they put their best foot forward a lot of times, but after a little while, people start to be themselves, and that's what you really want to do. You want the person to be themselves right away, soon as possible, day one, really, but just soon as possible, because you just want to know if this is the kind of person you can be with, right? I'm talking male, female, it doesn't matter, okay? Is this the kind of husband you want? Is this the kind of wife you want? It could be either party, right? Then you move to the betrothal stage, what the world calls engaged, and everything that goes with engaged, okay? There's no looking around, ladies in this day, obviously there's no looking around. You're not looking for any other husbands, any other suitors. That's gone. That's out of there. Technically in the courting stage, that's out of there. The proving stage, like I said, it's not like it's a couple of questions, here and there. Where'd you grow up? What's your favorite color? Stuff like that. Just, really inconsequential stuff. But, we still talk about that anyway, just to kind of get a feel for a person. But now you move to the betrothal stage, you're engaged. That's it. In this stage, you're making plans, okay, where we're gonna live, when we're gonna get married, when we're gonna consummate this whole thing, or we're gonna have this big old ceremony, or is it gonna be nice and simple? But like I said, and again, I'm not saying anything about ceremonies. They're not mandatory. It can be as big as you want, it can be as small as you want. That's between you and your potential, okay? But in that betrothal stage, that's when you are setting dates, setting expectations, getting everything, lined up and seeing if everything works out, okay? It's like you're married, right? You just have not consummated yet. If we look in the New Testament and we look at Joseph and Mary, remember, they hadn't been together yet physically, but he was about to put her away because he thought she slept with someone. So that's your husband. When you get to betrothal state, that's pretty much your husband. Okay, we don't have any, in the Hebrew culture, there's no boyfriend girlfriend stuff. Okay, there's none of that. There's no boyfriend girlfriend, mistresses, side chicks. We don't have that. Okay, in Israel, it doesn't exist. Okay, so at these stages, you got to figure out what you're doing. Now, last but not least, marriage, and it goes back to what I said in the beginning, right? Which is agreement. And you had time in the betrothal stage and in the courting stage to establish agreement. Remember, you're setting your expectations, what you expect, where you're gonna live, how how you want your potential wife to dress, how you let her know your likes and dislikes and things like that. She figures out, okay, is this something I can do? Is this something I can deal with? He wants me to do this. He wants me to do that. He wants me to eat right and read, these kind of books and subscribe to these videos. And, I don't know, he may be in fitness and health. He wants me to have 3-4 more babies, But these are the things that in those other stages, okay, you need to figure out if you can do that. For instance, in the courting stage, because at that point you can break off. You can, if it doesn't work out, you know, the husband, you may find something that you don't like about her, some uncleanness in her or whatever, or you may have or the potential woman, she can feel like, okay, because there's a lot of stuff going on there. You have people in the Hebrew Israelite community, some of them, they have a big deal on submission, right? And I have no problem with. I like the idea of submission, because without it, you just have nothing but a headache. Okay, you have nothing but a headache. However, in some households, in some communities, some of the women choose to call their husband master. You know, like Sarah called Abraham Lord, or which means master, right? So, but you have some women today that have a real problem with that. They have a real problem with that, right? So, in this courting stage, okay, let me go from the men's side first. Let's say that's exactly what you want your wife to do. You want this potential to say, okay, we get married, I want you to refer to me as master or Lord or whatever, right? Now, I want to choose something that, you know, upsets some people a little bit. That's fine. But hear me out. In that stage, in the, not the betrothal stage, that's like engagement, but in the courting stage or whatever, that should be known, okay? That should be made known. So if you don't, say, I'm going to go from the male side again. You tell her, hey, I want you to refer to me as master. I want to refer to me as Lord. Actually, that's actually a good test. Maybe you may not even want her to really call you that. Some guys do, but you may be one who don't really want her to call you that, but you want to test her submission level. That's probably a good question. That's probably a good. That just came to me. That's probably a good question that you may want to ask. Hey, do you have a problem with calling me master? So standards are key because it's the foundation. Absolutely, Hebrew life. Absolutely. But that's a good question. You may want to ask in the courting stage. You say, you know what? How'd you feel if I wanted you to call me Lord? How'd you feel? Shalom, shalom, Lenny Christian. Shalom, shalom. So that's a good that's a good question there. You want to say, hey, you know what? I want you to call me master, and look at her response. See how she acts. Okay, and that's a good submission test. A great submission test. You just ask her, and she flips out, and I don't know about that, and it's probably somebody. If submission is important to you, okay, it's a good test. Then she has a problem with that. Then you may have some more questions, some additional questions with that. Because I know some people are like, oh no, just because nobody don't want to call you master, blah blah blah, doesn't mean I'm not submit. I think it's a good test. I think it's a real good test. But after that, you may have some more questions, but it's a good indicator. Now, women, if you are in the courting stage, and I want to use the same thing, and the guy says, you know what? If we get married, we go further, I want you to refer to me as master. If you feel like that's something you cannot do, then the courting stage is the stage where you exit left. Okay? You say, nope, not calling you master. But guess what? You both have avoided trouble. Okay? You both have figured out, okay, this is just not going to work. Okay? You want that in the discovering or proving stage, or you want it in the courting stage of the relationship. Okay, that's when you want to find that sort of thing out. Okay, so that's when you want to do that. So again, let's go to those 4 stages. You have proving, which sometimes I refer to as discovery. You have courting, and then you have betrothal, which is engagement, and then you have the marriage, which is witness, agreement, consummation, right? So again, all these statements, the other 3 stages, you're already establishing agreement. You're already establishing agreement, especially in like the courting. In the proving stage, there's really not a lot of agreement. It's just discovering. You didn't put a lot of expectations in that first stage or nothing like that. It's just discovering. But starting in the courting stage, you're establishing your expectations. Okay, this is what I'm going to expect. This is what I'm going to want. This is what I'm going to like. A, B, C, D, and you lay it all down the line. At any point you disagree or it is a deal breaker, I had a video talking about deal breakers. If it's a deal breaker, that's the time where you both can exit stage left, okay? That's when you can do that. Betrothal, remember, it now you got to get a get and stuff. You get married or you get in betrothal. But I mean, because like Joseph, he was going to put her away. They hadn't slept together, but that was his wife, right? So now at betrothal and because if someone is intended, okay, someone's intended, like for instance, you go back to uh, Jacob. You go back to our forefather Jacob or whatever. He was working 7 years, for Rachel, 7 years for Leah. Now we know he got tricked. He worked the first 7 years for Rachel, but he got Leah, so he had to work additional 7 years, and then he got Rachel. So basically, he worked 14 years for Rachel. Okay, so we get that. But here's my thing. Here's my point. My point is, while he was working 7 years, okay, for either one of them, Rachel or Leah, neither one could go and date and see and marry someone else. Not allowed, right? You see the difference? So once you are betrothed to someone, you cannot see or sleep with anyone else, okay? So that's what I mean by that. So once you are betrothed, it's a big deal, okay? You are, for instance, if you're betrothed, you sleep with someone else, that's adultery because you were intended for someone else, okay? You were intended for someone else. So once you're betrothed, that's it. Once you're betrothed, you're basically waiting on the time when you're going to consummate, okay? It's an engagement, right? So you really got to think about that, okay? So in those stages, it's real important to kind of nail down some things, nail down some expectations, whatever it is. I mean, it could be physical labor. You can be like, hey, look, I got some land out there, and look, sweetheart, I'm gonna need you to get out in the gardens. I'm gonna need some help. Do you have a problem with getting your hands dirty and doing some physical labor? Do you have an issue with that? Okay, if I'm doing this in the courting stage, okay, and she's like, well, I'm not gonna do that. I can't do that. I can't do the physical work. I can't do all that. Okay, then it's time. It's like, okay, all right, okay, cool. Because I already know what my life is gonna be like. My life is going to be homesteading. My life is going to be in the gardens. Okay, trying to grow crops, having kids, chickens, goats, cows, whatever. It's gonna be work. It's gonna be work. So if she can't help you with that, and if that's your life, then a good time to exit stage left is in the courting stage. That's probably a good time. Because again, remember, marriage is one of those three parts is agreement. So that's what's got to happen. Okay, so you got to have some agreement in that. So I just wanted to touch on that, talk to you guys a little bit about that, and hopefully it helps someone. Hopefully it helps someone. What is the stages? What is the process? What's in each process? And as a quick summation, I'm just going to simply say, okay, proving, which I say is discovery, courting, where you start establishing those agreements, betrothal, when you're pretty much just waiting to set a date, and then marriage. Those are the 4 stages of the process. Take it, use it how you wish, how you want. We can expand on it. Put your thoughts down below on the whole process and some of the things that I said. Like, comment, subscribe. Hey, share with other people. Let's talk about this. Let's start a dialogue when it comes to biblical marriage and like finding the right people. Because we live in a world where all of us have got yoked up with the wrong person before, right? Now, I won't say all of us, but some of us. Some of us got yoked up with the wrong people because we didn't take time in the process. Now, again, the length of the process is up to you, okay? This process can be a day, a week, a month, a year, 2 years, or 4 years. It's completely up to you. It can be 7 years, okay? Look at the forefather Jacob. So, whatever. You think in 7 years, you think he learned a whole lot about Rachel and Leah and their servants, okay? What was their names? Zilpah and Bilhah? Zilpah and Bilhah. You guys know their names, okay? So his 4 wives. But in 14 years, he learned a lot about them, right? So you have the opportunity. It's going to be any length that you want it to be. Or you can do Isaac and Rebecca and just, hey, it's a decision. Because at the end of the day, marriage is a decision. It's an agreement. We agree to stay together forever until we die. That's it. Okay? So that's up to you. Now, some of us have been burned. So we're going to take a little bit more caution. We're going to take a little bit more caution. So with that, guys, look, give me your thoughts down below, okay? We're just trying to build and edify one another. Give me your thoughts. I want to hear it. Until next time, comment, rate, subscribe. Let somebody else know about this video, and I'm going to see you guys on the next one. Israelite Prepper. Shalom, Israel.